Everybody's gathered round the fire, wait for something good to eat. Everybody's got that desire. Gonna grab a big old hunk of meat.
About something about words don't communicate.
Using
words to describe what's not describable, and what is at the core of rainbow is not describable, because it's.
So you're describing it pretty well.
Because it's in everybody's heart, and they know it's there. This is a this village satisfies like a primordial need in us to have a free, compassionate, loving world.
How important is intention in a meditation?
Well, see, the term meditation is intentional, because it's a practice to get from A to Z. And so every act has a motivation.
I was talking about that 10 minutes ago, at 10 o'clock or so I said to myself, the meditation better begin. Who's the meditator here? I said to myself, you better start it up. So there's everything involved with that. All the while I was sitting there before that, I'm going intention, meditation. But there was another really, really powerful one that just said now.
Back to Babylon.
Now, focus. All of it, not just get a little bit of the practice online. Bring it on. I'm ready. Just open up and go right to that silent place. And I was kind of waiting for some stage to be set or something in my drama world. And then the witness said, "What up?" Get pointed.
The drama world is I am meditating. Forget that. That's a thought. That's just or this is going to really be good. Because there's no evaluation for the state the state of grace that meditation and all these methods take you to.
Now, it seems as though some methods take more time to get there. Now,
Church.
Yeah.
And it's a little quicker.
Is that okay?
Sure. What's your right?
The getting there is in that drama world. Is in that drama world.
Yeah.
Processing, in my language these days, processing your functions is the getting there. All you do is put in meditation. All of a sudden, it's different because you have another thing going, but that's still just one more thing going. Or drop back before those things, and that's where meditation is going towards, and that's here all the bloody time. It's here to appreciate. Keyword, I haven't used that yet, but to appreciate. What makes things greater? Appreciation. So will we have 1 + 1 is 4, because the one makes the one more better, and the other one makes the one more better, and it's not just 1 and 1 = 2. You had appreciation.
Mirror effect. Yeah.
This place a month ago, was here. There was no humans around. But all of a sudden they
There
did
was
appear.
some bones here.
Bones, right? All these humans did appear and created this intentional community for a month and disappear. But the intention's still here, and everyone that's came here, everyone that touched this spot, everyone that feels this, we all connect. It's not neglect. We're not objects. This is not flesh, body, or mind. This is spirit, soul. And this is what makes it whole. This is the magic of rainbow. You know.
Got it? Got that?
You guys take great shorthand.
So, do you think that magic that can be achieved out here, intentionally in the woods, kind of setting up new rules, is that possible elsewhere, like Los Angeles?
Yeah, Los Angeles.
Can I go back to
possible
Los Angeles?
everywhere, because it's happening in every country in the world, in every culture. It's going to be much, much more difficult for something like that to happen, within the city, just because they're so entrenched and everything. But it is possible. In my neighborhood, there's we got like a little crack neighborhood, like 3 blocks from my house, where we got like community gardens and like had buildings, and we're sharing food, have fire pits and drum circles and stuff. And it's possible in the city, and it is a rainbow space. We used to have a picnic table there that people would just bring and put food there. There was always food there. We weren't doing it. We don't know who was doing it.
Great idea.
Art was showing up on the fences all the time. We didn't know where it was coming from.
Intention.
But it is a total like rainbow space within the city, and the people feel it. There they know it's about, even though they have no clue about what rainbow is. They know. They feel the love. We call it lots of love, and they just. It's really a great place. It's really possible everywhere when you open people's eyes to the possibility, I guess.
I mean, if you can meditate on top of a mountain, with these beautiful birds and there's not a human in sight, that's beautiful. But if you can do that at 42nd Street, I mean, if you can go to 42nd Street, you can hear that pigeon 3 blocks away.
See it all as divine.
You've got it. Meditation, dig it. Because you're always going to be hearing. Now, about that question about how can we take this attention? Hey, it's individual. I've been into this, like saying, you can have the most beautiful life, all your dreams come true, everything happen to you or not. It's your choice. You can walk into Rainbow and see a bunch of cold, freezing, old, stupid people living in the 60s or future beautiful creations. It's up to you. No one can make you think. And that's same in the city. You can walk in the city and hate it and it smells, or you can walk in the city going,
Wow. It's God made manifest. Wow.
I mean, when I'm out here in the woods and I'm in the city, it's not different, except there's more animals in the city. Way more animals in the city.
You don't think one's easier than the other, city or country? Nature has no this is like tree is nature. Is that easier to meditate out here?
Ramdas used to say the human realm pulled him back down in. Remember that? Ramdas used to say that, like on a beach on an open field, and then if you saw a human approaching, you'd start identifying with, all this, and you'd suddenly be back in this.
That's one method. That method is using nature. And then nature
human voices.
Nature is the manifestation of the one. So,
As long as it reminds you of that.
and I'm a manifestation of the one. So this tree and me, we're made of the same soul stuff.
I want to respond to the question about is it possible in that world? And I've been looking at this event this time from another point of view, that a lot of the democracy or the democratic things that we can do together, in other words, the people participating in their destiny and their affairs, is way oppressed in the world. The only way we know how to be a demos is to go vote. Everything that we would do, like put food on the picnic table, has been oppressed as a demonstration of out of fear and breaking us down to the smallest common denominator. And I think what Rainbow has is the potential. I haven't got the answers internally to this question, but I've posed it. What kind of, what's the word of insurgents, civil insurgents, and peaceful civil insurgents. We've lost a lot of the ways of democratic behavior because of repression. And what Rainbow's going to do for me, I'm going to look at Rainbow's freedom of expressions and see how that can work in the body politic out there to break down or eliminate that oppression.
Beautiful. Thank you. And we'll have
See, and it's we walk a very fine line because when we want a statement that against the society, we can either us and them, which is a bad place for us, or we can see this as a dance, like we had a dance with the Forest Service.
Yeah.
It's a dance. They do their part, we do our part, and it's not nobody's. I win, or just it's there. There it is. And
moving along.
And
Where there's peace, there's solutions, and where there's no peace, there's no solutions.
and we can get into the us and them, and it's hurtful of our hearts and their hearts, they hearts, and then we can look at the us and them as a dance, and we don't participate.
Is it possible to look at one's life as like every event or situation that comes at you is there for your own best
Yes.
interest?
Better be.
It's just for your own good.
But not for what your mind thinks is good. It's what the one thinks is good for you.
Which is usually to dissolve anything that's not the one.
Barriers.
Yeah.
Sort of
Yes.
any block.
Yes. Well, they're all part of the one too.
Yeah.
The blocks.
Yeah. But
See, that's what's so important about that July 4th meditation. that no matter how the partying since 1972, on July 4th, that dawn it happens, and it happens. And if you keep silence, the craziness is still going on, but it's silent. I woke up and it was silent, and the kids walked there.
Silence was
So deafening.
I felt peaceful inside. That we did. We all peaceful inside, and that's one of the things that we can do about peace.
Respect this Felipe's line.
We gotta go inside where it is peaceful. Then we manifest it. That's what we as good citizens do.
Felipe says that way. The manifest part of that is then to respect each other's silence.
Yeah.
Go to the silence, respect each other's silence. We're home.
And if we don't have that, if that's not part of the reality, we have no focal intentional point. What's the point? But that point. Now, I in 1972, if some people says no, I don't want to do this silence. This is anti-Christian or whatever, right? This Rainbow Gather wouldn't be what it is today. I believe that is the focal point of it, and you can prove it by all
That's
the
the first
people.
thing in the
Is the most
invitation.
people at noon of July 4th. That's the maximum amount of rainbows, and then it starts drifting away.
Right.
The invitation read to
Yeah,
come
within
together
hours
on the 4th of
afternoon,
July to
people
give
were drifting
contemplative,
off.
meditative silence, wherein we the people of the earth can express something about peace. I don't know. Contemplative meditative silence. Beginning was from 11:30 till 12 noon. Then it was like an hour. And then it was a way to get the drums to be quiet. I started at dawn, and that's probably 10, 12 years maybe.
10 years is going to be from the 1st to the 7th. You know.
The dawn ceremonies were good for those people who liked sacraments.
This
Because I
year,
remember the early dawn ceremonies in Arizona, the
right as the
honey-filled
crack of
mushrooms. I mean, it just, and you would sit there at dawn and you'd be there, and then the kids would come along around 9, 10 o'clock, and you're like, wow, and they go, boy, these people are getting really high meditating. And we're just there. I mean, you feel the attention. That's how the meditation is. You can't stop the stuff. I mean, what I do when I rhyme, I actually meditate when I rhyme. I close my mind, I don't think in a blink, and I just let the words flow from soul. But that's what I do when I meditate. I just watch and fly, and I mean, you go so far. Oh, I'll be right here now. I like that. I mean, I'll never get over be here now, because right when you wrote it, I wrote all the different ways. Now be here, now be, because each one's different state of consciousness.
On the book.
Yeah, it depends where you start, how it reads.
So
But here's the intention. Let's take it back. What's got intention got to do with be here now? But remember around it. There's the intention behind that being, that meditation.
World peace and earth, world peace, the earth environment. I mean, these are the kids that are being drawn to this. Have you noticed, Ramdas, the kids at this gathering? I could have come in all these years. I've never seen the youth as I saw it this year. I mean,
Like,
the
look at
babies,
those fans.
the youth, the first timers.
And lots of them, first timers this year.
Did you see that
Lots
notice?
of first timers.
Yeah.
Tons. That's good for us.
Great to see.
There's a bunch of us in the woods. This would be good, but we'd be saying goodbye to it sooner or later.
I go walking to see which ones are caught in themselves, or which one are lonely and coming here to change that. And it's the adolescence. They come into the gathering. There's a reaching out. They feel vulnerable. They look at you. They're beautiful. They're looking in your eyes, but they're frightened. And then they go this way to the cars, and it's a different look. It's this way.
Yeah.
And as the next couple of days go by, that this way to the car by begins to dominate. It's like,
Yeah. Like one guy just said, back to the world, back, and that's wrong, because that's a mindset. If they
Separation.
if they on to the world,
and take these demo principles onto the world.
yeah,
Spirit principles onto the world.
because back then I didn't have the rainbow gathering in my experiences. Now next time I'll have the world plus the rainbow gathering. So you don't go back to the,
Let me ask you a question
bring the
about
gathering to the world.
May I ask you a question about the whole, the rainbow coming at the end of the beatniks and coming into that thing, and you saw that fruition in your height of activity. What do you think about the rainbow? Since '72 and us, what's your heart song on us in terms of the spirit of all that?
it's my consciousness family. I mean, I find people with simpatico.
Look up at his farm, his dad's farm, and that experience that went off there. It was completely and perfectly parallel to our experience here, except with his illuminated space providing a focal point for the experience.
Dad's farm, when they knew I was a channel, the East, they started coming, people, and my father was, where are these people coming from? So the locals, it was funny. I drove into the town of Franklin, New Hampshire, in my father's big Cadillac. I was standing in the back of his house, and two kids came up and they said, "Are you the connection from Boston?" Because they had, and it had Massachusetts license plate and Cadillac, but it was just, I said, "Yes, I am the connection." And then they came up to the farm, and then they came up with their ministers, and then they came up with their parents. This is over time. The whole
family.
The whole, yeah. Because everybody was looking for the connection.
How long did that go on for at the farm? People did that come for? How many years?
Probably half a year or something.
How did it end? I mean, when did you decide, like, okay, we've done enough here, let's go out and do something else? I mean, how come it didn't last longer?
I got a feeling it's not something Lovehouse decided.
Dead.
I started to lecture in things like that, like lecture in New York in a sculptor studio, and then I gave a long 20 lectures, and then there's a woman that she was a stenographer, and she in the audience.
So that took you away from the farm.
Yeah. And then she brought her stenography to me in typed, this big. She said, "Here are your words." I said, "Well, I'm no use to this." I said, "I'll tell you what, put it in the trunk of my car." And she put it in the trunk of my car. And I was driving across country to Esalen, and I said, the guy that was unpacking my car at Esalen, he said, "What's that?" And I told him, and he said, "I'd like to look at it." And he took it and he
Highlighted
it, which turned out to the little stories, the brown pages in Be Here Now. He didn't know.
You didn't know it.
He didn't know.
He's part of it, editor.
And then
Nim Caruli's
from there, I went to Lama Foundation in New Mexico, and the guy was unpacking. "What's that?" I said, "Well," I told him the story. He said, "Well, why don't I look at it?" And we had fun. There were 6 artists in that place, and we were studying what would the visuals be for the stories. And we at supper, and then one artist will say, "I'll take that one. I'll take one," And then Maharaji's book was
The story that's most fantastic, of course, is Be Here Now, is the part about how Maharaji told you to hold the presses.
Oh. Maharaji looked at the book, with the book in India. He called me to him and he said, "You're printing lies." I said, "No." He said, "You're printing lies." So we were in the midst of the second printing, already printing thousands of them. And the second printing was being done in Albuquerque. And our headquarters were Lama, which is north of Taos. But it's a and so I realized the second printing isn't going to just what's going to happen. They got big web presses and it's going to be a big thing. So I said, Maharaji, it's going to cost an awful lot of money to change this thing. And he said, money and truth have nothing to do with one another. And he said, you must never print lies. He said, the first printing, you didn't know it was a lie, but now I'm telling you. And now I'm thinking, so I'm writing to Lama, and we printing lies. And Lama said, I was just at the printers in Albuquerque, and I came back and your wire was here. And I don't think it'd be too late to, because they had it on the web press. So then the guy comes, Ahmed, at the temple in India. I get another letter. He says, but I got a letter from the printer, and the printer said there was a plate that was missing. And we looked back at the originals in the file. It was missing in there. And so we didn't print the whole thing. We just stopped the press. And what it was,
Picture the plate that's missing.
the plate was missing. I mean, he stopped it. He just stopped it. Nobody knew why those plates were missing. And so he said, I picked up the letter in Nainital, and then go to the temple by bus, and Maharaji says, and what did the letter say? I didn't know there was a letter.
What plate was missing?
Huh?
And which was the plate that was missing?
Well, it would be nice if it was the plate of what he was lying that wasn't, because it was the plate of Maharaji's picture.
At the beginning of the book.
Yeah, just he
He
He wasn't going to endorse it yet.
And the lie probably was this was one book, and when he left out the author, it was another book.
No. It was a good one. Somebody had told me something about somebody, and I thought it was true. And it wasn't true. And Maharaja caught it. So I had printed it thinking it was true. But then he wanted, now you know it, are you going to print it? Now you know it's a lie. Oh.
Too bad he could have talked to our politicians.
Yeah, he is. He is. Just like those guys that sit up in the Himalayas in caves, and you say, "Why are you doing that?" I'm doing it for mankind.
But the politicians need to learn how to listen.
It's what we are doing with the circle.
Do you remember the invitation, Michael Jones? The invitation, where it says for politicians out of charity. How did it go?
There's about 10 different.
Are you looking for it? We still got a half hour tapes. It's pretty faint, but I think we're going to be able to pick it up. I can see the waveform while we talk.
From the invitation.
Oh, did you crank them up a little higher?
It was to give honor and respect to all those who have aided the positive evolution of Earth and humankind. To give silence, half hour of contemplative, meditative silence to give honor and respect to all those who have aided the positive evolution of Earth and humankind. In a word, hippie All Saints Day.
I like when they says we invite all the world. They list all the things we invite, and it says invite all people. Are for humanity, but the ending I like where it says all politicians out of charity.
Out of charity.
I would love for Arnold to come here, and check it out.
But he's going to come drive
if they ever try to. He would
would.
love it. He would love to see these kids.
He wouldn't love it.
You don't think
Yeah,
so?
he would.
He wouldn't love it.
I think he's cool. I just think maybe not.
Just
Maybe
right
he's
now,
just playing the
14.
Republican. But.
Well, who knows? I mean, if he got into a cuddle puddle, who knows what
Well, we know for sure if he got in a cuddle puddle, he would change his tone.
Not if Marie's here.
Oh dear, I shouldn't be going to sit down. But he first tried to be here as a politician, about land handling and things like that. And there are a lot of people here who would take that opportunity. And that's that.
Oh, Schwartz came to the Rainbow Gathering.
Yeah.
He's cool. Fuck the popular vote.
Yep.
That's Thomas Jefferson
That's
saying,
all complete.
I wish I'd
That's
have
going
done
to
it
be
over.
completed with one of these circles. With what do they call it? Puddle.
Love puddle?
Hug
Cuddle puddle?
Love puddle.
Cuddle puddle.
Paddle.
All of the above mean the same.
They still do it. They invited me. I was just skipping down the road doing my poetry, what I always feel that my job at Rainbow, town choir type of thing, is I help with the women control. Is that anything that you can think of, they'll come to Glorified. They see me on the road. So I'd be ripping off these rhymes, and then, hey, you want to join this kind of pile? And I go, no, really? And I go there and I jump into it, and it's just like the old 60s thing. And remember, if people went into cuddle piles in those days, 8, 9, 12 people, it never was about free sex. It never was about free sex. It's about free love. I'm talking about love. Talking about love, and with it touching you and holding you. And then I remember the Gandhi story, where he had these 13-year-old virgins that would come and hug him. And it wasn't about he's going to have sex with her. It was just about the love, just the pure love that. And I was watching the movie going on with you yesterday, the people coming and just being in the field. I mean, there was a field, a bubble here. a Buddha field of love, and it just got increased.
One more way to access the infinite hug puddles. Ethnogens, religions, hug puddles. I got in trouble in his hug puddle one night.
When you cried? Oh, that was the most beautiful thing. We're out doing these really love things, and he just broke out with crying and tears. And I do these tantra, because when you talked earlier about the yoga, what I like about tantra yoga when you bond in nature, because not only are you bonding with the tree and the thing, when you do this with a partner, and one partner's going, and putting all the energy out, the other partner's going, the attention of that intimacy, especially if you do this connected, circulates. Well, this is what the, that's why I like the Buddha
likes, yeah.
The Buddha thing is sexuality. You go to Thailand and stuff, they don't have any hang-ups on sexuality because it's spiritual. It's part of the process, and you get fun and practices of the fun.
These are different methods. Abstinence is one method, and
let's take it another level. All of the methods, if done in the Hindu way, the method, the work, the sex, the washing dishes, that's there. That's there already. If it's done with that intention.
You remember that Prairie
One way to
India
get
where they
there.
have all the, in Prairie India they have all the sexual positions and the different types of homosexuality, bestiality, one woman, lots of men, one man, lots of women, all that. That came after Ashoka killed hundreds of thousands of people on this battlefield, and the rivers ran with blood, and he didn't have any men. And he became enlightened with Buddha that year, and he ended up sending his kids and creating this Buddhism all over India and a really powerful empire. But he built this sexual temple because people lost the way. And he did it. And every person, if you look in the pictures, and the British, when they came in, cut off the penises and the breasts, because they were really freaked out. But every person's doing this, looking at his third eye. Every position, even when the donkey, though, they're making love to the donkey's like, and they're all like third eye. Even the donkey's third eye. And I love that. I'm like, whoa. I saw this thing in Thailand once. You had the Buddha.
that'll change the point of view.
Yeah, the fat Buddha is sitting there in total abundance. You turn it over and it's a clitoris. And this is like in Thailand. And it wasn't just a sex thing. It was like, that's the way it is. It's the mask of spiritual. It's beautiful. Can you imagine if Jesus lived to be 80 years old? Can you imagine the knowledge that would have been passed forth? The Catholics never would have been able to do their stuff.
Well, I have that story.
That's why I love my meditations. I sometimes meditate watching CNN, flipping over to Fox, and doing this. In my meditation, watching this thing, and I'm going, this is what people are watching. I'm going, wow, whoa. I mean, they're getting so inundated with this idea of American superiority and everything, that we know everything and that we're the best in everything and all that. And then they got these boys, and I try to always explain metaphor. My neighbor has a son over there, and the metaphor is, what if Mexico had 1 billion people? What if Mexico was the largest economy in the world? What if they wanted California back? And what if they came over here with our flags and they're coming down, because like the Bosnia thing, we just stole the land, and they come to give the Indian rights back Atlanta, Georgia, the Cherokees, or whatever. Wouldn't we be like teaching our kids how to blow up these people? This is, if we think things like this. I was in Vietnam, off this coast of Vietnam, on Christmas Day, celebrating Jesus' birthday, blowing up Vietnamese. And I'm saying, why?
In the name of God.
In the name of God. And I says, why? And this guy fought hand in hand with Americans against the Japanese. Then we let the French back in, and they allied with the Germans. And it was like, all of a sudden, the whole world changed for me. My best friend died, and I stopped. I stopped for 30 days. I didn't eat. I didn't do anything. Put me in a hospital, and I was crying all the time. I just stopped. I didn't want to play the game. I was released. I come out in '69 to this America, and they were calling me child killer and all this stuff, and I didn't do the culture things, and hippies were hippies. Then I heard about this festival, the Rainbow Living Light. Come, everybody, and I came here, and I cried the day when I came here, because I had not, I was seeing all these soldiers sitting there with them, MIA, POW, and everybody's loving them, because we weren't an anti-war movement. We weren't an anti-Nixon movement. We're a pro-love movement, a pro-peace movement.
We were none of those things,
Right.
which was the point. Peace.
The
And then all those things-
non-gathering.
The
I like
what's
that.
happening
The
for
biggest non-gathering of.
the United States is we're almost creating an empire, and traditionally empires conquer
And fall.
and fall, and it's really about co-creation. It's really about everyone working together.
Well, how many people do you think it takes for world peace to have to be doing this?
It takes point of view change.
It took Jesus. It took Buddha. In their at that time, they
That's what one man can do.
one man or woman, but the way it works is one heart then one heart goes to second heart goes to third heart. I feel peace. Like when we feel, then you feel peace, and then you feel peace. But it's all done by hearts. By hearts.
See, I can't do this, but I know what the Buddha would say. If the Buddha was there and you went to her and go, "Oh Buddha, you know, your enlightened spiritual presence, you know, enlightens my heart." The Buddha would be reflecting that back. But if you go, "You stupid fucking old fucking fat asshole," you know, Buddha would go. Because there'd be no stupid fucking fat asshole in that person that was saying that, and he would just reflect that love back. I can't do this, but I've seen that. That's how you make peace, real peace. You emanate it, and it emanates through you. Our people, I don't think people ever going to choose. I think people love suffering and pain. That's why they love those TV shows where everyone's cheating on everyone and suffering and pain, because then their life is not so screwed up. You know, so
The life looks good, right?
So bad.
Is there a critical mass to be attained of attention
Like a
or of awareness? Is there a point at which you have enough people in awareness?
Well, if you count the vote, that's one critical mass. But it's when a citizenry of a country are looking at their own hearts, and the administration doesn't reflect their heart, then that's a critical mass. And critical when people look into one another's eyes and say, "Do you feel it? Do you feel it?" And that's what we have now. Thank you. Good morning. Isn't it good morning? Awesome.
This moment is not unlike waking up at homeland.
Yes. At homeland. I got this wonderful shirt that I didn't wear it. No, this is medical marijuana. This is Indians all here.
Yeah, they're
It
fighting
says
terrorism
Homeland
since
Security.
1492.
And the Indians. I think that's fun.
Yeah, I always love the story. Can you imagine
That's
when the Pilgrims landed there, the Indians came out and greeted them and says, "I'm sorry, do you have a permit to use this beach?"
Yeah.
You know, or Christopher Columbus there, you know, and they come, the Indians come, "Hey, do you have a permit to visit here?" I mean, you have to just stay here 24 hours. We have to check you for VD.
And park your boats there.
Yeah. They have the Caribbean. Jump ahead. See, if I could go through history, if I could have this, mad scientist mind, I could go through history. I would do crap. No, I'd go back to them and tell them, and I'd change it. I'd say, don't trade Babe Ruth. Please don't trade Babe Ruth. And then the whole thing would be, the Yankees would be like the Red Sox. They would be the losing team. They never win.
You're onto something here. In the book by Deepak Chopra, he described this phenomenon expressly. How do you change the past?
Yeah, unfortunately,
Stop letting it create the future.
Tell that to the Chicago Cubs.
That's how you change. That's how you get out of groundhog effect. The same day after day after day. Don't let that keep creating your future day.
That's it.
Memories can't create a perfect world.
The perfect world would have been the Cubs and the Red Sox playing the World Series to the 7th game in the 21st then they hit it over Fenway Park.
The perfect world in that context would have been that fan getting launched into the 4th row and his outfielder catching that ball.
Oh, can you imagine being that person? I'm glad he wasn't wearing tie-dye.
I saw the karma of that event about a month ago on a short blur. The outfielder was running towards the stands, and it was a low bleacher wall. So, and the pedestrian's got his hand all like this, and the baseball player didn't let up at all in his charge towards that ball. And he lowered his shoulder and caught the ball with the other and knocked the guy way into the bleachers. I said, aha, maybe that's the way to get rid of those guys hanging out in the field.
Oh, the metaphors.
But that was your perfect world gone awry again that moment.
I love imperfection. I love the sickness I had. I just got out of a heart thing where I was like this, totally coming into my heart through the sides, this new things. I never learned pain. I've never, I talked about, I see other people in pain, detached. Oh, let me comfort them. But when it's happening to you, it's like a whole different story. It's like, wow, how can this happen? How can this hurt so much? That physical thing. That's my admiration for you, going through the stroke and stuff, and instead of like separating and being in a safe environment all the time, you come out here and
my strategy, which psychologists have a name for, the pain is in this plane. You jump planes to the watcher to the pain, and the watcher is not pain. It's just watching the pain.
Is that the meditative watcher? Is that the same watcher that helps you when you meditate?
It's the soul. It's the soul. The soul is the witness of the incarnation. Because the soul goes through incarnations. And the incarnations are stones, steps, steps on the path for the soul. The soul's purpose is to merge with the beloved.
Is that why our meditations on 4th of July is so powerful? There's so many souls, the Christians are doing it their way, the Christians are doing it their way, the pagans are doing it their way, but we do it all together in that oneness.
Soul's purpose is to light up each one of those stones, those steps, because that is the light in each of the steps, that soul.
Yeah.
So the soul illuminates each incarnation.
And
sooner or later.
Each
solar.
Each person here is just is a soul that came into this incarnation to learn something. Like I'm learning about suffering and about love. That's what I'm doing in this. I'm doing. And also compassion. Because compassion really comes from the oneness. Then somebody seeing somebody in pain. It's you that's in pain. It's you that's in pain.
So when you are the watcher of the pain, does the pain still hurt?
It hurts down here. Sure, you it's like we humans have three planes that we're three planes of consciousness. So the one plane, the first plane, it still hurts. The second plane, which is the soul plane, it's watching the hurt. So that means you're on two planes at once. That's the conscious person. That's
the razor's edge.
Let me twist this pain thing
Balance.
a little bit. Pain lets us know we're here just as much as anything else.
Yeah.
And to the ability to experience pain is just as much a miracle as life.
What is the first plan? The first plan.
Ego.
Oh, three.
Ego soul.
the third one. Yeah. It's called the third one.
Can I call it like this sometimes? He goes, other.
It's called the mystical wing. It's the one. It's the one when you and I are subjectively engaged with this tree. We're all in it together. Right? That's the third one. The Quakers call it the still small voice of God within.
You know, this LSD, because on the LSD experience, a lot of people have that experience. That one is bonding with the tree, because that's when it's opening up, right?
Sure do.
It drops out your functions and your
You find out what's there inside.
I remember you said you gave your guru, 10 hits of acid or something, and he goes, "Oh, it gave me a little headache." I remember it was something like that.
The way I think of it is, you don't take a bus for Chicago if you're in Chicago.
We talked about those three planes. It's like a combination lock. That there's the plane of self or ego, and you spend hours or days or years of inquiry. And then there's the plane of others or soul. And there's the plane of origin or original, and you dial them with an incarnation until you can go open up to the treasures of the unexpressed.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on if you don't take a bus to Chicago, if you're in Chicago? Like what context,
You're there.
Like you don't need to take acid because you're already in that state of bliss.
Yeah.
You just have to realize it.
Yeah.
What if you don't technically speaking, if I was walking in a mall in Florida and somebody put a, I don't know, what's that stuff that will put you to sleep real fast? and gas, and then they spirited me away to New York and woke me up in another mall, I'd wake up, and because malls are all the same, I wouldn't know, so
Great metaphor there. Soul traveling. You're talking about soul traveling.
it's I just don't. It's like I don't know. It's like if I guess what I'm trying to get at is that like, why would we not be in that natural state of bliss? Why would we need acid if we already are in that state of bliss? Like why do we feel need to?
We're several levels away.
Occupying and identifying continually. And acid has an opportunity of dropping a few of those levels out.
It eliminates some temporality.
And so do you. Then in responding to that realization you're in Chicago, it's even not a realization that you're in Chicago. There's none of that intention or I'm in Chicago going on. That's like history. That point of view is freaking history when you're in Chicago. Because if you're in Chicago, Chicago's got no boundaries on Cook County. Yeah.
Right on, man.
Right?
Thanks, Ramdas, I was been contemplating a lot on free will, and being a junior high school science teacher, I was saying, and it got me several years ago, and I've been contemplating on this a lot. The sun, and every religion would agree, even atheists would agree, without the sun there'd be no life on Earth. Has no free will. We know exactly when it's going to rise and set on the point in this for the next 100 years, 1,000 years in our own time thing. No free will. The galaxy that is so many, many stars has no free will. It's colliding with Andromeda in about 4 billion years. The universe has no free will. It moves with this thing, but maybe that's its free will. Humans, we contemplate we have free will because we could stop. I can get up and do this. We can kill people. I mean, very easy. Just now it's pressing bombs. You don't even have to do anything. Now you can take a bowl of virus and wipe out whole civilizations. But that's to me that free will. I'm contemplating. So my question is where does free will have to do in this whole thing? Like towards like a body like the sun having no free will, yet we little itty bitty things live and have it.
It's a fiction of our minds. It's a fiction of our minds.
Free will is a fiction?
And every one of us is an individual and also part of the whole. And the individual thinks has free will.
That's why you get mad when the unexpected occurs.
Yes. and if you, the experience is that we can only use free will in some ways, like dharmically. Not they won't play.
Free will's a liability.
When you say not my will but God's will?
And if you make God's will your will, then
That's not just surrender. That is surrender. And
It's aberrant
we
behavior
have also
compared to
surrender.
Longfellow's description.
Yeah, because if your free will is to like blow up a whole bunch of people in the name of your God, I mean that's like, wait a minute, is that, it was amazing when they get recordings of those planes when they hit that. Almost everybody on the cell phone, even atheists, oh my God, they were focused on that thing, and the pilots and the bad guys themselves were saying Allah Akbar, God is great. But I can see these human beings. We created these gods first, all these volcanoes and the suns, then the Abraham story and the emperors and all this thing. And now it's like the aliens came down and pregnant us. They don't want to get that we're just like
God is love.
That we're love, that we're part of this, that we're in that third thing too, with consciousness.
It's a grace place too. Same as we're talking about being in Chicago. The free will is his aberrant behavior compared to on the rest of the universe unfolding as it should in grace. So there's like the opposite, almost the opposite of grace. The unfolding, the free will, the choice to make a direction based on I could, like Mr. Clinton. I guess I got a blowjob because I could. But the reality here is free will is what holds back grace.
But if there is no free will, then prisons are immoral, and punishing somebody from stealing from you is inherently immoral. Because if so why bother punishing someone if they come into your tent and take your sleeping bag? I mean, if they have no free will, why punish them? I mean, what's the point? You know?
What do you consider punishment? So maybe it's the question is, could killing ever be the will of God? You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Right. In this realm of infinite possibility.
It's in the Bhagavad Gita, which is the sacred book of the Hindus. God, in that case Krishna, tells Arjuna who is a Kshatriya, a killer, warrior, and says, whatever you do it with me in mind. And he was on the side of Dharma, which is thinking of God. If I
At
could,
least that's how much the Arabs and the Americans have in common. They're both thinking of God.
When they're doing these horrible acts to each other.
Well, they axe each other.
They
Yeah.
always think
I'm going to cut off this head. Oh, I'm going to be thinking of God.
now wait a minute.
whoever wins the war,
Forgive me, Jesus.
the real God must have been on their side.